The film begins in a crowded subway station, where our protagonist, who we will only refer to as the Lost Man, is scrolling through his social media. Moments later, a baby begins to cry nearby, so one of the passengers starts yelling at the mother for bringing her child into the crowded subway and disturbing the other passengers. The Lost Man, along with the other passengers, ignores what is going on, and no one speaks up for the poor woman. As the Lost Man exits the train, he receives a phone call from his ex-girlfriend, which he reluctantly answers. She then shocks him by revealing that she is pregnant and in the hospital. She seeks his advice, but the man simply asks which hospital she is in and expresses an interest in visiting. However, she claims to have already made up her mind and reveals her decision, but the man is unable to hear her because the signal was lost. The phone call is also cut short, and the anxious man rushes through the underground passage to exit number 8. Moments later, the Lost Man encounters an odd-looking older man known only as the Walking Man. Our protagonist keeps walking and soon reaches a corridor with a wallboard sign indicating exit number 0, but as he moves forward, he finds himself in the central hall, with an exit 8 sign and the same Walking Man approaching him. This frightens the Lost Man, and he attempts to flee, but he finds himself in the same spot, with the same guy passing by repeatedly. The poor man realizes something is wrong, and at one point, the Walking Man eerily stands behind him, causing him to quicken his pace in fear, but he soon encounters the same man again, forcing him to turn back in the opposite direction, only to end up in the same underground passage. The emergency alarm is even activated as he attempts to find a way out through the metal doors, but nothing works. Moments later, the Lost Man stares at the pictures on the wall until he notices blood pouring from one of the signs. He panics and runs back to the wall, only to be shocked to see that the exit board sign has been changed from exit 0 to exit 1. He then reads information on a nearby board, which states that if anomalies are discovered, he must turn around and return to where he came from, otherwise, he must move forward. It turns out that by following these simple rules, he will be able to get out of here when the wallboard sign reaches exit 8. The Lost Man then moves forward and tries to talk to the Walking Man again, but the latter ignores him and walks past with a cold, soulless gaze. Our protagonist keeps going and doesn't notice anything strange. He approaches the wallboard, however, and it says exit 0, which means he missed an anomaly. To avoid making the same mistake again, he now takes pictures of everything, including doors, a fire hydrant, ventilation, and even the Walking Man, so he can compare them all. He sees no anomaly and reaches exit 1 before exhaling a sigh of relief. He's stunned to notice that the pictures he's taken are corrupted, which means he can't cheat. As he searches for an anomaly, the Walking Man appears behind him and smiles strangely. The Lost Man believes this is an anomaly. The old guy follows him as he runs away in the opposite direction. Fortunately, our protagonist's assessment turns out to be correct. Finally, he reaches the exit 2 wallboard sign. In the next loop, he goes through all of the items and notices nothing different. But all of a sudden, he hears a child crying inside the storage locker. He tries to open the locker at first, but eventually decides against it and runs the other way. It turns out to be just an anomaly, and he makes it to exit 3, indicating that everything is going smoothly so far, and all he had to do was leave that child in the locker. Following that, the Lost Man examines his surroundings and finds no anomaly. However, as he leaves, he notices the large posters staring at him strangely. The terrified man turns back and reaches exit 4, which fills him with hope. The next loop goes smoothly, and he continues forward without noticing any anomalies until he reaches exit 5. Shortly after, he receives another unexpected call from his ex, who is concerned about his whereabouts. The Lost Man responds that he is still on the subway, walking in circles because he is lost. She wishes to discuss their situation, so he suddenly tells her about the crying baby on the subway and how a man scolded the mother. He reveals that no one, including himself, stood up for the poor woman because they were all glued to their phones. He expresses regret in tears, saying that he cannot be a good father. He simply loves Instagram too much. While we notice his ex standing eerily behind him, the man hangs up and moves on, but he is shocked to find himself back at exit 0. He realizes the phone call was just an anomaly and feels stupid because there is no signal in this area. He has no choice but to move forward, and he notices that the central hall is completely illuminated in. At this point, he begins to have a nervous breakdown and develops asthma, causing him to collapse in distress. But he eventually calms down and turns back before reaching exit 1 again. The Lost Man notices a young boy in the next loop, but he dismisses it as an anomaly and turns around. He soon finds himself back at exit 0, which means the boy was real. The latter doesn't say anything when he encounters the boy again and tries to talk to him. The boy then enters the central hall and points at the Walking Man, leaving the protagonist perplexed. The scene then cuts to a flashback through the eyes of the walking man, who is also trapped in this underground passage. The same little boy is encountered as the man makes it to exit 4 without incident. The walking man realizes he is not an anomaly and decides to work together to find a way out. This time, they notice a young girl passing by every time in the hallway as an NPC character. The man and woman soon arrive at exit 5. While looking for anomalies, the young girl unexpectedly begins speaking to the walking man. She explains that she is also lost, and she believes they are already dead and in hell or purgatory. That's what people thought about Lost, and everyone ended up confused and angry in the end. However, things take an unusual turn when the girl begins speaking in a distorted voice, telling him that returning may not be the best idea and that they should stay there. She claims that the daily commute, homework, and repetitive routines of a job are absolute hell, and she repeats the last phrase several times. Realizing she's an anomaly, the walking man and the boy soon turn around and end up at exit 6, which fills them with hope. In the following loop, the boy notices a knob in the center of the door that was not there before and stares at it. The walking man fails to understand the hint and takes the kid away, only to end up at exit 0. The man erupts in rage, rips down the information sign, screams, and then tearfully proclaims that he must meet his son today. But after a few seconds, he finally calms himself and takes the boy's hand before moving on. The walking man notices a staircase in the next loop that appears to lead to an exit, which makes him very excited. The boy realizes it's an anomaly and attempts to stop him, but the man refuses and pushes him to the ground before leaving. He soon disappears after, which means the boy turns back and exits at exit 1, indicating that he was correct. He moves forward and notices the walking man again, but this time he's walking like a robot. The terrified kid approaches him, but the man simply ignores him, revealing that he has transformed into an NPC and is forever trapped in this nightmare. The boy soon finds himself at exit 0 and moves forward, where he encounters our protagonist. In the present, the two are seen observing their surroundings, and even though the lost man does not notice anything strange, the boy sees an anomaly sign on the overhead board, but he simply stares without saying anything, and the lost man does not understand the hint. They soon leave exit 0, leaving the man frustrated and hopeless. In the next loop, the lost man thinks the poster on the wall looks different, but the man begins running away, prompting the man to follow him. They end up at exit 1, which means that the boy was correct. This demonstrates that he has exceptional observation skills. When he notices a strange knob in the middle of a door and stares at it, he finds another anomaly. The lost man notices this as well, and the two successfully navigate to exit 2 by turning around. However, when the lights in the hallway suddenly go out on the next level, the lost man turns on his phone's flashlight. Things take a terrifying turn when blood begins to drip from the ventilation system, accompanied by the alarming sounds of a baby crying and rats screeching. When the lost man notices a swarm of rats, each with human organs growing from it, he is filled with disgust and fear. He then grabs the kid's hand before turning around. When the lights come back on, they realize they've arrived at exit 3. The two proceed forward and soon notice a woman standing eerily in the middle of the hallway. It turns out to be the kid's mother, so he speaks for the first time and claims, "Mama," as he attempts to approach. But the lost man realizes it's just an anomaly, so he stops the kid, who loses consciousness. The man then carries the boy before turning around, and they eventually reach exit 4. When the boy awakens, the two finally start talking, and the boy reveals how he was separated from his mother, but he claims he did it on purpose because he wanted her to find him. The lost man finds this amusing and admits that he did the same stupid thing as a child. They start to open up, and notices some strange coincidences, like how they are both afraid of their mother and have never met their father. They continue moving until the boy notices another anomaly, prompting them to turn around. They reach exit 5, and on the next level, the lost man notices one of the metal doors is open. He peers inside and is stunned to see himself in the subway as the baby is crying in the arms of his mother. They turn back and reach exit 6. The man feels bad for ignoring them and closes the door. They are very hopeful, and the man asks the boy what he will do first if they make it out. The kid expresses his desire to eat a double cheese pizza, which makes the lost man smile. "You will be constipated." The boy gives him a snail shell as a gift and claims it will protect him before they move any further. In the next loop, the two hear a loud siren and sense danger. The lost man quickly embraces the boy. Things take an unusual turn when the hallway begins to flood with dirty water and the duo desperately tries to turn around and leave. However, they can only get so far before the flood overwhelms them and carries them away. The scene then cuts to a beach, where we see the lost man and his girlfriend enjoying a beautiful day with their son. The couple is chatting when the boy runs up to them and hands his father a shell he found. In an unexpected twist, it turns out to be the same kid from the hallway, and the lost man hugs him tightly before playing with him in the water. We then return to the flooded passageway, where the lost man asks the boy to hold on tightly to avoid being washed away by the current. The boy agrees, but the current eventually carries away the lost man. A while later, the kid notices the flood has passed and discovers a pile of dirty debris around him. He doesn't see the lost man anywhere, so he turns around and reaches exit 7. Then he progresses to the final level, where he notices no anomalies, prompting him to move on. The scene then cuts to the lost man, who turns out to still be alive and rushes through the hallway for the final turn. He carefully inspects the items for anomalies but finds none, so he moves on, hoping he's not mistaken. Fortunately, he reaches exit 8, and he is overjoyed to realize that he has finally escaped the hellhole. Before proceeding to the stairs, he stares at the shell and thinks about the boy. The lost man notices several rushing commuters and receives a signal on his phone, indicating that he has finally returned to reality. Soon, he calls his girlfriend and discovers that she is still in the hospital. She asks about his decision, but he ignores her and says he's on his way to visit her right away. The lost man soon enters the subway to go to the hospital, but things take an unexpected turn once more. The same baby begins crying in his mother's arms, and the same enraged man reprimands her for bringing the child and disturbing others. The lost man is horrified when he realizes that he still hasn't escaped the loop and has ended up in the same scenario as before. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.